friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here for another garden tour for 2022, and this is all going in the same playlist. So if you're just coming in new and you haven't seen my other garden tours, I will go ahead and put that full playlist in the description box down below. I think I have 3 others right now, and I still have several more to do, and then I'll also keep doing updates on how the various areas are going throughout the rest of the season. So don't forget to check out that playlist. And then if you're curious about how my gardens have looked in previous years, I have one for each year. And also, just so you know, in case you're new, that even though we have a couple other pieces of property right here on this shy 1/3 acre lot in a neighborhood is where we live. So it's where we're currently doing all of our gardening. We will soon be expanding out to the other lot, and we can do a lot of foraging out there for some great stuff. And I have a video about that particular piece I'll also put down below. That is a more recent one. But right now we're doing it all here. So I have the gardens broken up in various different areas all around the house, and that's why I'm doing it this way. So today is the back deck garden, and it's where all my grapevines are growing right now, plus a bunch of other stuff. And so let's get to this tour so you can see what's going on up here. All right, well, I'm starting right here with the southwest corner of the deck. This is where we actually come up to the deck from our walkway out here, and that's the door into Patrick's shop. So right here are some of the first beans I planted this season, and just keep in mind, as I've said in other videos, we are very behind this year, even behind for what's normal for us, because we do live in a cold, wet climate. But a lot of stuff is at least 2 weeks to a month behind. So this here anyway is a honeysuckle, and grown right there in the pot right next to the beans. So I always start some of my beans earlier in the season in pots because they stay more protected here and they do a little bit better. And so still not even any flowers on my beans yet. You can see right here some buds forming. That's good. And this is my little mini thyme garden, and that back there are some violets that I transplanted recently, so they're not looking super healthy, but they're doing okay. And then I do have a couple of real nice thyme plants out front in my little narrow herb garden strip that I've yet to show this year, but I like having these here too, because not only does it just add some more greenery, especially to our old wood stove, that instead of throwing it away, we decided to use it out here on the deck to put pots on and toys for the baby when he comes over. The kids' old toys that I've been finding here and there while I'm gardening. I keep finding more stuff that's been out there. But anyway, yeah, so it's just nice to have this handy right out my back door for, when I'm cooking. And then if you continue on over here, this is something of Patrick's that's new. I don't know what it is, some kind of bench or ladder that him and the baby put together. And then right here are some more violets, and I had Patrick build me this shelf a couple of years ago, and this area only gets early morning sun. And so I had to settle for something that would do well in shade and also in pots, and so that is my violets. Of course, we're past the blooming time of the year, but I still come out here periodically and cut the leaves. I just take scissors and cut them back and use them to go in my skin cream. And then down there is my solar oven, the one that they no longer make, but I have a video on solar ovens I recommend you check out. I'll put in the description box down below. Out of this corner, I only currently have 2 different varieties of grapes, and the one that's right here, all my grapes are planted in the ground just on the outside edges of the deck. I used to have 4. I used to have a buffalo blue, but that one died a few years ago. But this one is mostly some kind of amber that I cannot remember the name of. And then the other 2 are the Niagara white. So I'll just do a quick pan so you can see how they're growing. And I've been growing them around the deck like this for several years. This was actually my plan all along when I put them in, is that they would do this. What I didn't know is just how thick they'll get. This is only the beginning for this year. They only just started taking off this year a couple of weeks ago. And you can see I do have lots of little grape buds forming. So they haven't flowered yet. Those are just the buds. So I will still get grapes this year, even though they're pretty far behind. But let me put a picture in here. I'll do another pan so you can see it from this angle right now. And now I'm going to go ahead and overlay a picture where you can see what it looks like later in August, where it's just thick and you can't even see out into the backyard at all, other than maybe a tiny little space over there just above that gate. And I have to keep cutting it back, otherwise you can't even get through to the backyard if I don't keep pruning it back. And then Patrick last year, he even did a video. He made these swinging gates. I'll show you how this works here. They swing both ways. And that was to keep the chickens off the deck, but then I can still just walk through there hands free either direction. So usually my hands are full of something when I'm going out or coming back in, whether it be eggs or jugs of water or herbs to dehydrate, whatever. Lots of stuff. Okay, so this pot right here, nasturtiums, used to be a blueberry in here, but this blueberry is about to die. I think it will hold out for the rest of the season, but I've only got a couple berries on it. And then this one died on me last year. I think it's because I've had them in pots for like 8 years now, and they're just getting too root bound. Here's a picture of what they look like a few years ago. But anyway, what will happen is as the grapevines continue to fill in down here from up there, the nasturtiums will climb up those grapevines, and it's just beautiful. So here's a picture from last fall, so you can see what that looked like. And then down here I have some orange mint that I transplanted in here just to give it a safe place to grow for a while until it gets real healthy. It is actually real healthy right now until I decide of a new place to grow it, because the places I was growing it before become too overshadowed and thick with other plants, and so I need another place that's more sunny. In fact, orange mint should have more color to it than this, but because of the grapevines, it's not getting a ton of sun. I need to figure out where I'm going to put those so it can get more sun. Here's a picture of what the orange mint normally looks like when it's getting plenty of sun. This was a random lemon balm I found growing in the back garden, which was odd because I don't grow it in the back, I grow it in the front. But I went ahead and stuck it in a pot, which is kind of nice because I can come out here and just, again, it's quick and easy if I want to just make a pot of tea and I don't feel like going out to the other gardens. It's right there. It's just temporary. I probably won't leave that since the rest of my lemon balm's doing good. Now, this blueberry and the one on the other side of the gate are doing better than these other two I just showed you, but still not as good as they used to be. So I do think, just even though I think some of the issues, here's the other one that's doing better. You can see a lot of new growth coming on it. Though I do think some of the issues are the same issues I'm having with other parts of my garden. It has to do with the late winter that just kept dragging on, and then the hot and then the cold again. I do think part of it is just because they've been in pots for so long. So this is the last year I'm leaving them in here in the pots, and I think I'm going to transplant them out into the main garden. I think there's a section of the main garden I'm just going to turn into a berry garden, and that'll give me more room here on the deck where I can also plant other things. So I planted more nasturtiums in here to see how they'll do on this side this year. At least I'm getting some blueberries, but boy, I used to get several gallons just off these blueberries in pots, and now I don't think I'll even get a half gallon this year altogether. I mean, I only have 4 blueberry plants that are producing, and even those aren't doing as well. But the good thing is, and I was glad to see this, there's new growth coming up on this one. That's a good sign. There's new growth coming up on this one too, and possibly the other one. And then this one started to get new growth, but it doesn't look very happy. This one has been kind of sickly for a while, but it was my first one to start looking sickly, but then it kind of snapped out of it, but still never took off again. And then down here, another orange mint. Again, just sometimes I just use my pots as a place to kind of start things or put things in a safe place until I decide where I want to put them. And then my green onions, I just did a second full harvest yesterday, just hacked them down, and here's what they look like yesterday. And that was my second full harvest. So what you can say is that it's a third use. So I bought the onions from Misfits Market, stuck them in there, let them grow, harvested them, dehydrated, and then cut them down, harvested it again just yesterday, and I'm hoping to see if I can get at least 2 or 3 more harvests off of those onions there. So let me go ahead and do a backup here so you can see. I got some blue tanks here that are going to go there. There are new ones that Pat's been airing out. these are going to be our new rainwater tanks in the back. Those are the collection tanks. And I have a video that goes more in depth on our full setup that I'll link to down below if you're curious. So here's a pan. Oh, and by the way, the honeysuckle I forgot to mention. The reason you're not seeing any flowers except for up there is because I keep picking them. That's the bad part about growing something, because you need it for the flowers. And then what will happen is it will kind of not put out any flowers for a while, and then it will put out a bunch more just before, you know, later in the season. So yeah, I keep them picked back so I can use them, because that's the whole purpose of growing them. It's not just for their beauty. And then right now I've got 2 dehydrators. I haven't plugged them in yet because I knew it'd be a little bit too noisy for the video. So I decided to leave them unplugged, but I got a whole bunch of herbs on there every day. Got something going. And I dehydrate out here on warmer days to keep the heat out of the house. And I can still plug into our solar power through that window right there. We got a plug that's coming out. That's Pat's got that fan when he's doing work in there. He works with glue and a lot of stuff, so he tries to keep it aired out. That fan's plugged into that same cord, and that goes to our solar power, so I can run all that on the solar power on our nicer days. And of course, out there is the main garden. I'll just give you a sneak peek. I always show this garden last just because there's a lot of stuff out there that takes, like the corn and some various things that's not only farther behind than usual, they just are farther behind than everything else anyway. But you'll see a currant right there. I've got 2 of them, one on each side of the opening to that bigger garden section, a bunch of valerian that's flowered, and back in there is kind of a wall of green that's marshmallow. And then I'll turn here so you can see our solar panels up here at my clothesline, one of my 2 clotheslines. But they extend all the way across the roof of the shop there. And that's a, I think, 1,200 square foot shop. But we only have them on this side, the panels. And then over there is the greenhouse, which I'll also do a tour of later on. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this week's tour and be watching next week. I'll eventually be doing that little narrow strip of herb garden and also the backyard garden, the greenhouse, and other areas as well, coming up soon. So be watching for those in the coming weeks. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.